And we should be live now. Oh, there we are.
Yep.
Oh,
Well,
hi, Ange. We've got a person waiting. Wow. Uh,
hi, Ange.
Hi. Peace and blessings. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, welcome back to episode 3 with chat with Queen Osset and Aminat, the wonderful creator of the EME Oracle, which is where we're going to focus on this Oracle deck today. Amina and I were just talking behind the scenes about the state of unrest that the country, I believe, the country
The world.
has experienced. The world has experienced the state of unrest again. Hello, Phyllis.
Hi,
Nice to
Phyllis.
see you. Uh, oh, uh, is that Gerald
Yes,
Tarostat?
Gerald. Yep.
Okay. Hi. Everyone's making dinner. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting us to dinner time. Yeah. Um, Speaking of the mothers, the Iami, uh, I believe, are like the ultimate mothers. Um, and I know in many of our readings, I know when I'm speaking to my elders, the Iami have actually spoken heavily today, not today, this year, about righting some wrongs, right? Really getting into that place of um, getting some things back into harmony, some things back into balance. But I think before that happens, a lot more has to erupt.
Hmm.
I think a lot more um, blood has to be shed. Um, I just feel that. I feel like um, things have to escalate. And I feel like that will probably happen as the temperature gets warm.
Yeah. 7 summertime,
Yeah, right.
July.
hmm Around July. Now, um, the Lukumi reading of the year has the reigning Orisha of Obatala and Oshun. Um, Good evening, Leslyn. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Leslie. That's great.
Good, good. We'll give it a few minutes before we really start talking about some things. But I think tonight's conversation will focus on that the maternal energy, which I think is more than the divine feminine. I think it's deeper than the divine feminine. For some odd reason, I'm just feeling that. I don't know if you agree, if anyone agrees with me with that. But the divine feminine and the maternal energy, they may be parallel, but I don't believe that they're the same. You know, um, so that's one of the things I've been thinking about that I want us to talk about tonight, and maybe what we can do to keep ourselves grounded and cleared. Yes, Phyllis, I do agree. I do agree. There cannot be peace without justice or equal rights. Yes, sometimes total destruction is the only solution, but it's a lot, right? There's a lot of people, and I've been saying this for years. There's a lot of people who will not let the tower fall. They will not. There are many who will they will use every bit of their energy to prop up that tower that needs to fall, you know. Um, I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what it's going to take. Um, I guess, I don't know, maybe a person of affluence will have to feel it. I don't know, in order for a change to truly happen. Um, every day we here in the States, we hear about someone that we lost. Uh, there's this DJ. He lost his son. I'm not really sure. We've every day.
Highly.
Yes, yes, right. Lost
And
his
it's the male, is the masculine archetype that they're really feeling it this year, and it's connected to that number, you know, 7. Like you were saying, it was funny what you said at the beginning, that the divine feminine and what's going on. We had a talk. I had a talk yesterday on Clubhouse, and one of the priests that came on stage was talking about Yemoja. He's a priest of Yemoja, and he comes from an area in Nigeria that's very that is not very well known, but they're well known for the veneration of Yemoja. And the story he was telling, it struck me, and it connected to what you just said, because in each of the stories that he told, Yemoja was instrumental in supporting Shango.
hmm
First, it was she supported Shango to basically get his throne back, and Shango, having the status of being the archetype of the perfect king.
hmm
So he's like that personification of what a leader and a ruler is supposed to, to be, and is also the Orisha of justice.
hmm
So, but if it wasn't for his adoptive mother, because she was the one, yeah, Yemoja was the one that brought him up, but she wasn't the one that gave birth to him, but she nurtured him, in the same sense. And if it wasn't because of her, in many instances, from what that priest was saying, yeah, yes, yesterday, we wouldn't know him as the way we know him now. Um, and the way that she went about in supporting him was using wisdom, working behind the scenes, being the eyes that he doesn't, being the eyes behind his head, at the back of his head. So the things that he didn't see, she goes behind to, fix things. And then in scenes where it seems as if it was over for Shapango, he had lost everything, it was Yemoja actually that came into the scene to basically save him. And I'm wondering, is that going to be the theme for this year? Because I'm saying that because this is a 7 year,
Right.
and the 7 is a number for Yemoja. It's a number
hmm
for Yemoja, it's a number for Ogun.
Boom. Yeah.
So it's a bit of an echo.
I don't know.
They're saying, let me,
Thank you, Jada.
let,
Do you still hear the echo? Now, I guess each of us will test. Do you hear the echo?
I don't hear it. Okay, I hear it when I talk.
Okay.
Would you like to mute to see? There's nothing. Do I have anything on? Shouldn't be. I wonder why that is. Or should I get my headphones? Okay. Should I try
I,
to get my headphones? I don't hear it. Okay, so I don't hear it anymore. Yeah, I don't. Let me just grab my. Let's see if this is gonna work. I don't know if it's gonna work. How does that sound? How does that sound? Oh, okay. You're still muted, Queen of Set. Go ahead.
I know. I was looking in the chat because I'm fine. I don't hear it, but they apparently.
I do hear it. I still hear it lightly, but it's not that bad, right, guys? Okay.
So we sound good now.
Yeah, I kind of hear it just a little bit, but it's not as
Okay.
distracting as it was.
All right.
Yeah.
So, when we talk about the divine feminine, and the maternal energy. Thank you, Jada. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Um, Considering what's going on um, in the world around us, we are dealing with so much loss on so many levels. I'm sorry, but I feel like the masculine is acting out, you know. Um, and that's not, when I say masculine, I'm talking about that assertive, aggressive energy. Okay. Oh, it's okay now? All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's okay now.
All
I
right.
hear it just a little bit, but it's not that bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, hmm. So, uh, what we're like 5 weeks into the new year. There was a killing that took place in for the Chinese New Year, and the gentleman. It was brought to the attention of the authorities how people were being mistreated in this environment, and this person had just had enough. Right? It was the Chinese New Year, and you know they waited until that time to carry out this act. Um, they pled guilty and they gave a reason why. They were bullied and mistreated, right? This is not, there was no loving support, no uh, maternal support, there was no softness in this person's life. Um, how do we define feminine and masculine? Feminine to me, is receptive. It's softer. It's more malleable, so to speak, meaning it's more fluid. That's how I define feminine. That has nothing to do with gender. And masculine for me is more rigid, and it's assertive, and it's more aggressive, and it's sharp. You know, um, I think sometimes it could be more cerebral without actually thinking things through. And I think what happens when things get out of alignment or out of balance, that uh, there's a clash between the feminine and the masculine energy, right? Because when people act out, I don't know how else to phrase this. Um, in this society, we always like to attribute that to the feminine energy, right? Being overly emotional,
Mm-hmm.
right? The emotions are supposedly connected to the feminine, and yet men are not allowed to express those emotions. So I think all of that gets bottled up. And then when enough is enough, then it's unfortunately it's expressed to the point where there are casualties. I don't know how else to phrase that. And I think that's what that is. And I think that even every species has a feminine and a masculine. You know what I mean? We have a receptive and an assertive. We have a soft, and we have perhaps a rigid. You know what I mean? Um, but then, you know, I saw something the other day. I hate this one. I'm not even gonna say hate. Maybe that's too a strong word. Okay, so the praying mantis bugs me. Just bugs me. The praying mantis, and there was a video clip on social media um, where this hummingbird was flying too close, maybe taunting the praying mantis or whatever. But that praying mantis got that hummingbird, snatched it, and just attacked it and started eating it. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like that's the energy that I see happening around us. It's very it's like we can't Rodney King. I don't know if you guys remember Rodney King. Why can't we all just get along, right? Why couldn't two energies occupy the same space? And I think that's what's happening, that these energies within ourselves are having difficulty occupying the same space. It's almost like an either or, you know what I mean? And that's why I always talk about balance is a fallacy. If we can strive for harmony, we would have a better, we'd have a greater, uh, we'd have a better shot or a better way to achieve um, some semblance of peace, if that makes any sense, you know? Because even within the Arisha, I feel like there's that harmony as well, with all of them occupying the same space. Like each brings their own energy to the table, and then there's a level of respect, or I guess you could say hierarchy, whatever it is, for all these energies to be able to work together.
Hmm.
And yet, we as human beings are having such difficulty with this. Um, I don't know. Today, I'm processing. I'm processing the energy of the transitioning that's happening across the board. You know what I mean? Like, even though I don't engage a whole lot of social media and all of that, I still am aware of what's going on around me, and it still it shakes me. You know, on every level, like you said, so many levels. It shakes me as a human being. It shakes me as a woman. It shakes me as a woman of color. It shakes me as a mother on every level. You know, we want to pretend that what is going on around us is not close to us. You know what I mean? Um, it's not that we're not touched by it. You know, I mean, I've heard, sometimes I hear things from people across the pond. Oh, you know what? I'm not segue. I'm sorry. I'll talk to you later, but something just came to me, but it has nothing to do with this. I'm sorry. It has to do with my love fabric. And I was just like, oh my gosh. But you see, this is probably just spirit telling me, like, you know what? Ease up. Like, ease up, right? Because this has been the way of the world since day one. This world has never experienced peace. Never, right? This world has never experienced harmony or balance, ever. There hasn't been a time, right? The end of the world's been coming since I've been alive,
Yeah.
right? I've been hearing about that. I've been alive. We're in the end times, you know, since I've been alive. I've been hearing this over and over and over again. But I think what happens is things are more, they're escalated more. They are getting closer and closer. It's like the swamp and the quicksand is encroaching, right, on us more and more. Let's see. And Phyllis said, "Can I get in here?" Yeah, we need harmony to vibrate on different energies and yet not clash. Okay, but first of all, I think there needs to be an understanding of those energies, right? This is why, I mean, there has to be an understanding of those energies, and then there has to be an understand a level of respect for all of those energies in
Yes.
order for that to happen, right? Because everything has to operate, right? It cannot be, there can't be, you can't have darkness, right? If you always had light, you'll never experience the healing that needs to take place. So you have to have that. Um, and then Anne says, well, it all depends. Um, Ego. I just had a, well, where did ego come from? What is that? What, you know what I mean? What is that ego? Yeah, it could be that. It could be, I think that we are bombarded with so much every day on so many levels, especially, social media is a beast, and it puts people in this place where I'm just gonna say everybody needs to do shadow work. Like, and I'm talking about like where we are right now on a weekly, just to pull back from social media and assess and really think, well, why did this bother me? Or what can I do about that? Or all of that. Because I think it's when too much is going on around us and people are being bombarded with things, again, they hold on to that. They have no way of releasing that. They have no way of dispelling that. They have no way of letting that go, talking it out, you know, uh, hashing it out. So they reach a situation, they get into a situation where I just feel like something just, their humanistic abilities, it switches off, right? Like with that young man, Tyree. It just, something just happens where the switch is flipped, and the anger. How could someone be so angry? So many people be so angry at one person. We're not in a war zone. No one was threatened, but
But
something.
is it really about anger, or is it about the abuse of power and the arbitrarily the arbitrary um power that they feel that they have that's been granted to them by their higher ups?
Well, it's a combination of both,
And I think that's
right?
what's getting exposed, and that's what a lot of people are going to have to
It's a combination
reckon
of both.
with this
You
in
know,
this year. This is 7 year, because that's what 7 is about.
to be in law enforcement, and I'm speaking as an ex-GI, you take on an oath to serve and protect. Being in law enforcement, one of the things I believe law enforcement should have is mental health. Um, Organizations, like, they should have access to mental health, period. Like, that should be part of their contract for that reason, okay? As a GI, all these years later, decades later, I'm dealing with PTSD. There was no such thing to deal with mental health, situations that stay with you until after you're discharged, after you're done, right? So every day that you go out as a law enforcement person, you're already operating on a high level of anxiety. You're already prepared. You're already waiting, right? So that adrenaline is way up there already. And then all you need is one situation. There was, and especially if you're traveling in a pack, no one's thinking clearly. You know what I mean? No one's thinking clearly. Not one person says, "Hey, wait a minute." You know what I mean? Not one person said that in that situation. So then you have that pack mentality. You know what I mean? And this is how I know that something switched off, because no one thought about the cameras. No one thought
Hmm.
that they would be seen. You know what I mean? No
Because
one.
they're used to it, because they're used to
Exactly.
behaving in that manner with impunity and no challenge has been given to them and they can make up for, fudge records and
Yes,
say
and all.
whatever,
Right.
and they're used to it. Because and to me, I think it's just more of an exposure of what goes on in that particular organization worldwide, because it's not only America that is happening, it's not only the UK that's happening, it's been
It's
happening all over the world, even in Iran.
right, right, exactly, exactly.
This young lady just got killed, like, what, last year.
Yeah,
She's
right.
just minding her business, and police, and she just ended up dead in police custody. A barrister I was just telling you was killed in December in Nigeria, shot point blank in a
Hmm.
traffic stop. Nobody knows why this police officer just decided to, you know, shoot her. So to me, it's more of like all these things are going to everything. We're on this physical plane to just evolve, and if there are things that are going on in this existence that we either refuse to see, or we don't want to see, or we don't know about, we're going to be faced with it. And that's what I think seven is really all about. I was telling someone the other day that seven is Neptune, right? If you look at the basic Greek astrology, seven is connected to Neptune. If you look at Poseidon, if you think of underneath the sea, if you think of Olokun as well in the Yoruba tradition, you don't, scientists have said that the sea world is so deep. There are certain areas that have certain animals and sea life that we've never seen, we've
Hmm.
never laid eyes on, and there are certain parts of the sea that doesn't get exposed to light, and there are
Hmm.
certain plant lives that we haven't gotten exposed to. So then imagine if you're in a 7 year and you're in that vibration of that mystery of Neptune, and he and she wants to come up. And I the whole time last year I was just imagining this, the sea actually parting, and we as humans are getting insight into what is underneath that part of the ocean that we've never seen. You're going to be surprised because you've never seen. There are certain things that, because we, human beings are naturally egotistical. We
Hmm.
think we understand, and we're masters of the this realm that we are in, but we're not, because we don't even know 1% of how this physical realm works. But we think that we do, but we actually don't.
Right.
So now imagine this sea life, Poseidon, Olokun, the Neptune, deciding to give us insight into what is underneath
Hmm.
the ocean. And the human scientists have already said that there are certain things that you've never even conceptualized. Forget in my imagination, you don't even know certain animals, certain plant lives underneath the ocean, we don't even know exist, because we cannot get access to it. So now imagine you getting access
Right.
to that. It's going to be surprising, it's going to be traumatic, and some people are not going to be able to handle it. And that's the way that I'm looking at this whole thing, is that the level of corruption in government, because seven rules Ogun as well,
Hmm.
and that's government. That's the establishment of government. Ogun is like the one that oversees, the government, good and bad. He sees everything. He's the one that oversees the corruption, the corrupt officials. He's there. The just officials. He's there, and he's the one that's going to he's the one that's going to expose it. He's the one that's going to deal justice. So, like I said, this year, so you have Neptune, you have Ogun, and then seven, Yemoja as well. That's a lot. So you have water, the mother, the divine feminine, Yemoja, and you have emotions. You have seven, which is the government, which is Ogun, and then you have the seven that rules Neptune as well, which is bringing the things in the unconscious that we don't want to deal with,
To
or
the
we
surface.
don't even know,
Right.
the blind spots into the surface.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an explosive. It's that's it's I'm not really, nothing about this surprises me, because to me it just exposes the blind spot of these systems that we don't know exist, which is
Uh,
that the corruption runs deep.
deep. It does. So Gina Bess, hi Gina. She's one of the tarotistas, and I know Gina's story. And whenever I hear about a child being taken, I always think about Gina because I know someone personally. You know what I mean? Like you hear it on the news and you think about that mother and how she's going to feel. Just like, what's her name? Shankila Cabo 6, right? That is still a situation that's going on, right? How her friends lured her, that's up there with what these people did. You know what I mean? Um, it's the same thing. It's the same sort of behavior, which means that they believe that they were above the law, right? And that's what's happening. Um, Cabo 6. So 7 people were involved in Shankila, and we have 7 people. Is it total 7 people with Tyree?
Hmm. 5 police officers and then the 2 EMTs.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because the EMT, well, there's a 6 police officers that just got let go, and then there was another, yeah, about 7, maybe 8. I want to say 7.
Okay.
Is it 2? Or maybe it's 2 EMTs. There was another police officer, so that's 6, and maybe there's 2 extra EMTs.
Yeah. Yeah. But the laws, we have to remember that the laws were not created. Right, exactly, Phyllis. They were not created with people of color in mind. So we know this already, right? There is this double standard. But then you also have to think about that this latest crime, people of color were involved in it. You see? So that's what I mean about
That's what I'm saying about the multi levels and the layers to this thing. Like we're used to just stopping at that
it's right. We
layer
used
of
to
race.
race, and it's beyond.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and it's gonna be exposed.
Right. It goes
You're
much.
not, yeah, yeah, because you're not negating race, but then it's forcing you, that 7 is forcing you to look that this is corruption, and it goes, and their handlers and the way in which they arm these handlers is not going to be as black and white, for lack of a better term, like we're used to dealing with in the past. The
Hmm.
ones that are going to serve their masters are going to look just like you. So
Right.
then the question then you're forced to ask is, how are you going to then navigate that situation when the curtain's been pulled back,
Right.
and then you're
Exactly.
going to see a lot, and then the question is, how are you going to handle it then?
Yeah.
Because you're not ready to really peer into the back of the curtains and realize that the corruption runs deep and it's multi layers, and the people that look just like you are some of the betrayers. So because if you've never looked at that shadow side of yourself to deal with, betrayal, how you betray yourself, how you betray others, you've never really let that muscle work out, that muscle. So when you get faced with that betrayal with a person that looks just like you, a person doesn't know how to handle that. And
Right.
that's what's going on now with this police. I'm not surprised. People that have gone into that scenario, that have seen the dark side of these systems, we're just like, okay, that's par for the course. But everybody else is, because they think in black and white,
Right. Right.
whereas it's just blue. And blue, the police worldwide, like I was telling you, was established in the European, system to be the guard dogs for the rich. They were established. If you look at the history of the police, they were established specifically to protect the rich
So as we're
from the
talking,
poor.
I pulled that card because I wanted to get a better understanding or some advice or some words of healing regarding the situation. Right. Iyalode. Iyalode. Right, Phyllis. The consequences. So the consequences were meted out, and I say meted out, meted out. quickly to appease the black population. That's, that's how things are done here, right? Um, it's breadcrumbing us so that, oh, hey Kim, hi. It's to appease us, right? Because you'll always hear this, we'll always hear this: black on black crime is higher than white on black crime. You know what I mean? So it's just this thing. um and yes, um I think Havana had posted the other day, that they quickly put out the names of the black police officers, and then the one person, that was slowly trickled in as an afterthought. So, you know what I mean? Um, you know. So, yes, Gina. Here's the thing. Okay. You can't expect the truth.
Mm-mm,
No one's going to speak the truth in situations
mm-mm.
like this. Again, this is an oath that was taken, right? I'm telling you, as an XGI, I know about this, right? Um, Hi, Kim. And yes, Phyllis,
The
right?
world is upside down. You think these
Exactly.
people are supposed to be speaking the truth? They don't speak the truth. The world, because the
Exactly.
world is upside down.
Right. And I always say privacy is a fallacy, right?
Hmm.
So if you could wrap your head around the fact that there is no such thing as privacy. It's a
Mm-mm,
perception that you have privacy. And it's a perception that those who are in positions of authority are going to speak the truth. It's a
hmm.
perception, right? And so that's the part of tearing this system down as well. Stop buying into the fact that these people are going to speak the truth. And don't get angry because they don't speak the truth. You
Exactly.
already know that they're not speaking the truth. So don't get angry that they are lying. Okay, the expectation is that they're going to lie, and everyone knows that the expectation is that they're going to lie because they're wearing body cameras. You understand me? If they were going to speak the truth, you would have no need for cameras, right? This is not, Mayberry with Andy Griffith. This is where we are right now.
This is where
So
we are right now, and
So
that's
the
where the
even the
curtains have been.
system, exactly,
Yeah,
the curtains are being pulled apart. So even the
so we can see.
system knows that they're going to lie. Think about what
Yeah,
they put into place. You see what I'm saying? Okay,
and
right?
and even the black officers being put into, or officers of color being put into the force doesn't do anything.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. You know why? Because you are, as an XGI, again, I'm saying, you are torn down. You are torn down and then rebuilt and restructured into becoming what you're supposed to be. And that is why so many of us suffer from PTSD, because in a short span of time, what we are exposed to has an effect on you, um, integrating back into quote unquote normal society.
Yeah,
Right?
because you're trying to, you've been forced to look at, the underneath the ocean, and then you wake up, you realize this world is actually upside down, and then you realize, okay, I came into this society thinking I'm aligning myself with the truth and the justice, and I want to help people around the world. That's why I came in this GI thing. And then you realize that they want you to take an oath to always obey them, but their agenda is not in alignment with universal laws. So you've been ripped, like you've, and then you wake up and you realize that I'm actually upside down, and then you have vertigo, you feel dizzy, you're traumatized because you don't know how to then navigate this. It's very traumatizing. I mean, if until you've been through it, and it takes, and that's, that I use my spirituality I use my spirituality because I saw it here in 2014, and I had to build myself back to being in balance, getting used to surviving in this upside down world. The world is literally actually upside down. What you think, what you've been conditioned to know as the truth is not the truth, and what you've been conditioned to know as a lie is actually the truth.
Right. Okay. So
So,
okay, so remember, now let's go back a few minutes. So as you were talking, I was asking about some guidance or message regarding this stuff, that the upside down and the distress that we're experiencing. And I pulled Iyalode,
hmm
right? And what does Iyalode say? Iyalode is the guardian, right? Card number 36, which is 9, right? Um, the community suffers as a result of the cycle of children dying too soon. Okay? These children are called Abiku, and Iyalode is their leader, right? Now, let's see. Um, Yellowday hinders the spirit children's attempts to pass through, encouraging them to return to their communities. She is the leader of the spirit children, right? You have been given a divine assignment. Mind your own business, right? Now, I know that that can be hard where we are right now, wanting social justice. It's not for us to exact that justice, right? This energy has spoken on keeping ourselves clear and contained, right? We have to be mindful because where we are right now, we can get very angry about this and have our own energies thrown off, right? We can get very angry. And that's what I feel like this when it says, about minding your business. Like we have to, each grain of sand on the beach serves a purpose. And we have to be mindful not to get caught up in, we have to be aware of what's going on.
yeah, but she also has her kids that she's in charge of. So she has duties, and it's connected to the kids, and it's connected to, so maybe that speaks of um teaching the people in your vicinity that the world is upside down,
Okay.
right?
Now,
Rather than taking on the assignment of trying to do it to with the world, because that's a lot.
exactly. Right where we are, right? Mind your own business, right? Mind your yard, right? Is your yard
hmm
taken care of? You know what I mean? Is your yard taken care of? Right? We look at the world. That's what I'm saying. We look at the world. We have what I call armchair lawyers and armchair doctors and armchair, advocates. But what's going on around you? All this chaos and everything's going on around you. And so I think that we do have to take care of where we are at this moment and make sure that we are strengthened and fortified before we can go out and do want to change the world. Otherwise, you will lose your way. You will lose your way. You could lose your life along that way. This is not about being still or being passive, but we have to like fortify our resources that's in front of us at this, what is it? Be a steward of where we are right now so that we can take on what needs to be done. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, and don't forget she's a very powerful person in the community as well, because that's like the equivalent of a duchess, in the English
Right.
royal. She's a very powerful person. She's a very powerful chieftaincy title in the community, and amongst the men, she's often called when the male royal court
Mm-hmm.
is in session, and especially if there's the dispute on both sides, because traditionally the king in Yoruba land has advisors on his right side, advisors on his left side, and sometimes those two sides they clash. And
Mhm.
she sometimes serves as the equalizer.
Mhm.
She's a very powerful woman because she's a manifestation. She's a metaphysical divine feminine archetype.
Right.
But in current Yoruba culture, this is also a chieftaincy title as well, and it's often given to the women in the community who serve as that equalizing force. They're very powerful, they're very knowledgeable, and they will come in a situation and
Mhm.
help both sides see what they're missing. But her main allegiance, as it
Mhm.
were, is to protection of the kids.
So when she comes in to give advice, to be the equalizer,
Hmm.
she's taken on a masculine role, which the
She
world
said,
would deem a
yeah.
masculine. So what I'm saying, so this goes back to when I how I opened up the conversation. This is an energy that talks about the masculine and the feminine working in harmony
Hmm.
for the
Hmm.
greater good, right? For the greater good, you know.
You know what? You're right.
Okay.
You're right because the iya part is mother, right?
Huh?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Anyways, the iya part is mother.
Mhm.
Ode means the hunter.
Mhm.
So Iyalolode, because it's very ancient, Yoruba is like older than like Latin. So
Mhm.
some have said her name may translate to mother, the head of mother, who's the head of the hunters, a leader that is dealing with a male group.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're right. I never thought about her that way. That she is the perfect alignment of that divine masculine and the feminine as well. Because if you look at the ancient Iyalolode, the manifestation in Yoruba history, the
Right.
women in Yoruba land, they've been very, very powerful and they have not been passive, feminine. Okay, think of Margaret Thatcher. I don't know if
Right.
you guys ever,
Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher,
Yeah.
Margaret Thatcher, and
Mhm.
that archetype, that very strong,
Yes.
archetype. That's the level of power that she wields.
Actually,
Iyalolode wields.
yeah. Okay, but then society likes to say that a feminine presenting, like I've been told I have masculine tendencies. I was told I have masculine tendencies by big burly men, right? This is where you hear I'm intimidating. I don't have to say anything, but I'm intimidating. I'm not intimidating. I'm about business. I'm about getting it done, right? And if you feel that your masculinity should give you the authority just because you've got that, it doesn't work that way, right? So here we are. We're talking about the balancing, the harmonizing of these two. We talked about. I just said it. I'm telling you, this is why I prefer because this is how spirit works, right? I'm shuffling and shuffling and shuffling, and that's what I feel. That's what I'm taking from this message about staying in, taking care of our yards, right? We have to take care of what we're doing, right? Even having conversations like this. Yes, Phyllis, we will. Phyllis has a question. I'm going to post this and then we'll do this. We will speak the names
Hmm.
on the cards. Yeah, right? Because, I have to think about pronunciation anyway, correctly. Um, so even though we are aware, just like Iyalode being Iyalode being aware of maybe the contention that's going on around, in order for them to be able to give clear, direct direction, I guess you could say, and advice, they cannot get caught up in the emotional stuff. And that emotional stuff isn't always attributed to the female,
No, at
right?
all.
Exactly, right? And usually I feel like this energy has to present itself when the masculine energy is wayward.
Hmm. I get what you're saying now. I get what you're saying now. And the Abiku, let's not, that's very,
Mhm.
very relevant
Yes.
to how we started the Abiku, that's the premature death
Yes.
of children in the
Children.
community. Like
Right.
you just said, you just read, it has a detriment. It was traumatizing, all these deaths of these young men
Yeah.
and women. It's premature. It's basically on that same vibration. It
Yeah.
creates havoc in the community. And imagine how bad it had to be back in the ancients for the universe to say, because that's what the story goes, that that's why our archetype was created, because these kids were just dying. They just manifested, and they'll just come in, die, come in,
Right.
die, come in,
Right.
die.
Right.
And then that other side, the universe, just because the universe is always trying to balance itself.
Mhm.
Olodumare is always trying to balance, the universe. And then she was created,
Mhm.
and she is the interrupter of that vicious cycle. You are right. Yeah. And to have that kind of job, you can buy into emotions on both sides.
You'll be thrown off, right? So the abiku. So a lot of times when we hear about the abiku, we know for the most part we can tend to think of the younger children. But I feel like, you know, a better understanding that I have of the abiku are those who are taken before they can fulfill their destiny.
Exactly. Before age 30, usually.
Usually, right?
Mhm.
Tyree, you have to think Tyree, Breonna Taylor, like you
Young
know,
people.
yeah, the young, right? Shaquilla, right? These are young people. And that's one of the things, India, Gina's daughter, you know what I'm saying? That to me, that's the energy of, sure, it's horrific when we lose the babies, the young ones. But when you living long enough to actually form like relationships, so to speak, and have some experiences, and then you're taken,
It's
right?
traumatizing. It's
It
havoc.
is, right? And it does cause that. It causes the world to be upside down. So, but then we also in Ifa we have these are questions that I ask my own elders as well. Okay, I ask, is it part of the person's destiny before they came? Did they Was that part of their contract to be taken before? Like maybe it was that, I mean, it's hard. It's so many things. And this is what I say about ATR, African traditional religion, and Ifa. Okay. Those who run to this, you're not going to find answers to things. As a matter of fact, this religion will make you question a lot of things. If it does not make you question, like right now, right? We're told that you have a destiny, your destiny to fulfill, and all of that. And yet you hear about children who leave before their time, right?
Yeah.
Young adults who leave before their time. And I do ask the question, well, is it part of their destiny for this to happen, right? For them to be taken from us? How is that? Was it part of Tyree's destiny to be assaulted by this pack of subhumans? Who would sign up for that? These are just questions that I throw out there to my elders. Like, who would sign up for that? To what end? Right? And that's why I say I feel like it has to be it I don't want it to escalate, but it has to be, it's kind of like so I'm an expert marksman. So I know about aiming, Ochozi, releasing that arrow, right? But you can't release it before you're ready. And I think what's been happening is that those arrows have been released before they're supposed to hit their mark, and they're just hitting. This is just me talking like just out here like that, right? Because I feel that if someone who quote unquote is high up on the food chain, if they were affected by something heinous like this, there would be some serious changes taking place. Like, you know what I mean? I
Yep.
want to, you know what I'm saying? I feel that that's what would happen. But that's just a personal observation of mine. Um, and that's just what I've been feeling about this, all of this. I do question this. I do question this. You know what I mean? And as a mother, knowing Gina every day, you ask, like, why my child? Why my child? Why mine? Why my child? You know what I mean? Like, you know, hmm, I've, I know you can't, but I've done it. Like, I've sat before the Arisha and I've told him, like, you could take years off my life to extend my son's life. Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? That is something that's not even something that's open for discussion for me. And as a mother of a male, a black male, I'm back in that place every day. Every day I got to pick up my phone. Like, he's 30 years old. I'm not supposed to be checking him up on it. I'm not supposed to, right? But every day, like, I cannot put my head on the pillow unless I hear from him. Do I want to be in that place? Right? The mental anguish. So I ask my ancestors in Risha, like, why? How is this part of my destiny? Like, give me some ease in regards to this. And, Iyalo Day comes up and tells me what? It's taken care of. You're good. Mind your
Ashe.
business. You see? I know. Okay. Phyllis. Yes, I know they're not in touch with all of that. And yes, Ange, you're right. Releasing that arrow, and I think that's what's happening. I think what that's happening, I think that the tower really needs to. I've been speaking on this for years. We need to let that tower fall. Stop propping it up. Stop patching it up. Stop trying to keep it together. Stop trying to, redecorate it and call it, a pile of crap is a pile of crap. It's a pile of crap. Clean it up. Stop covering it up with pine sol and Florida water. Clean it up and start fresh. You know, we have to be in that place. And I know to build a structure can be well, we don't even know because we haven't done it. There are those who will say, like, it's we've been doing it for so long, why bother? Well, why not? We haven't, what we're coming from. You can always go back to that. But how is this working? And that's because the few that are in the positions of power does not want it to change. Too many heads would roll. Too many. But there is a change coming. I feel it. There's a change coming. And thank you, Iyalode, for telling me about minding my business and me talking about my yard because I'm going to share this with you. So you got it's no secret that I deal with the VA, and the VA. You're right. Why bother? The VA likes to give me a runaround, all of this. And they always like to say that I'm somehow the other at fault for whatever, right? No one, we pay all this money, no one answers the phone. You can't get appointments when you need to get them and all that. And I have to jump through hoops to get a referral to see another doctor. So I've been trying to see a neurologist since November. Okay. Last Tuesday, I found out from my pulmonologist. So I once a week or so I try to go into my records, but my pulmonologist said, "Hey, there's a referral in the system for you to see a neurologist." I'm like, "Oh, great!" She gave me the number and everything. Da 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 da. Now the referral has to be approved. Like everybody has to be on the same page for that referral uh, to be approved and for me to use it, right? So I called the organization and said, "Hey, I want to schedule an appointment." La la la. I get a call back from the organization on Wednesday, and they say, we don't have anything to do with the VA. So, how did this person get an authorization? How? Someone did something behind the scenes, try to get away with something, whatever. I, you know what I mean? And so it's that sort of mentality that we're dealing with across the board to the point where 50 is wearing body cameras because the truth does not exist. The
Hmm.
truth does not exist on any level. Follow the money. That's where all of this is. Follow the who has the money. It's the money that's keeping these systems in place. These systems aren't kept in place for poor people. Poor people is not funding this. It's like you said earlier. These are systems that are in place so the rich feel safe and what they
Hmm.
have is protected. Right?
Yes.
Yes, right? And the poor are broken, right? Torn down and instilled with fear, right? So, oh, anyone have anything else to say? I know I've been doing a lot of talking. I'm getting stuffy here. I'm gonna have to mute my screen and go blow my nose, and then we'll
I think
come back.
Phyllis, should we
Oh,
talk about what that question Phyllis had about the two cards?
yes. Phyllis, can you repost back to the pronunciation? But can you repost the question that you had about the two cards and such? You're right, Ange. The it's not even healthcare. You know what I mean. It's not. Again, it's about money, right? That's what it is. The healthcare systems are not in place for wellness, for healing. They're not. The healthcare systems in place to push synthetic drugs, and it's about control and it's the money. Like if people got well, there's no money to be made. See, yeah. Let me see. Phyllis, I think I can go. As a matter of fact, I can go back. Unless, absolutely, Ange. It comes down to money. It really does. So, what we have to do is start making our communities well. We have to start putting those systems into place, one little bit at a time. You have to start with the children, start making our communities well, stop having our communities be dependent on a system that's not supportive
Yeah,
of
and
our
stop teaching
well-being.
kids that police are their friends. Obviously you're gonna
Yeah,
teach them respect. Obviously, there's a difference between
right,
respect.
right, right.
In Africa, there's a great line between giving an elder respect than just automatically trusting an elder. Like for example, in most of Africa, most of West Africa, to be specific, if somebody walks up to your door asking for money, if they were like somebody begging for money on the streets, if there are elderly, we automatically give them regard. They're respecting, they're giving something, but we don't necessarily invite them into the house and
Yeah,
start treating them. So there's a difference between teaching kids respect
yeah.
for police, and but then teaching them that they have to be smart, and they have to use wisdom.
Mm-hmm,
That's where I was going with the story.
mm-hmm.
With the stories that we were talking about on Clubhouse yesterday with the priest about Yemoja. What she did was, whenever Shango was faced with a situation where aggression was being directed at him. And the aggression, funnily enough, one of them came from Oya, the divine, for feminine, where she was using aggression and obviously magic to fight him for whatever reason. Yemoja came from behind to use wisdom to neutralize everything, and she won. And she
Uh-huh.
did it twice. There was another time when Ogun and Shango went at it, fighting, that masculine aggression. And it
Right.
was Yemoja again who used that wisdom to kind of weave her way in between, and she was able to neutralize both. So I think it's really important to teach kids how to be wise, not
Exactly.
disrespectful, because they're gonna see that as, oh, you're standing up, you're disrespecting authority, you're being, what's the word, adversarial. That's
Yes.
another issue. But if you teach them to be wise,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. So Aminat, these are the two maidens.
Yeah, yeah, I was telling for this.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's like what Gerald is saying as an adult, because respect is part of that wisdom thing. Because I think with the Western society, a lot of people view that respect as a weakness.
Entitlement.
No, but a lot of people think if I'm giving you respect, I'm weak. But that's
Yes.
actually wisdom.
It is wisdom.
Because that respect I'm giving you, you give people, you would give authority like that is giving you time to slow down to assess the situation.
It means I'm being wise, right? If I am walking down the street and there is a snarling, barking dog behind the gate, I'm going to give it mad respect and maybe even cross on the other side of the street and to not antagonize it even more, right? Because, I could be like, well, I'm walking, it's a free country. I'm walking down the street, da da, he's behind the gate. I should be good, right? Or I can give it the respect. You're behind the gate. This is where you are. I'll cross the street. I'm not inconvenienced. I'm good, right? Yeah.
Yep.
See, let me see.
It's a tightrope. Even in our tradition, the world, my grandfather used to say, and in Ifa they say, this world is like walking on a tightrope.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Care, it's all about care. And that's one of the reasons why Orumila, the first priest of Ifa, was so, that he's so popular now. And I call him the rock star in the ATR, because if you look at the stories, if you really, really sit and if you can gather a lot of the stories and you look at the stories that he's been able to weave himself out of the situation that he's placed himself in, or somebody else would place himself in, he's always used wisdom. And that's what my godfather, that's one of the things he used to, emphasize. Above all things, you have to be wise.
Yes. Yes. Right.
There are a lot of principalities and powers in this world. I don't think we'll ever, even know what they're working with. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if we will ever get to topple them, because they've been there,
Yeah.
and they're like this. So, like Osho said, I used to listen to Osho a lot. Osho was a, what is it, a philosopher? How would you classify Osho? Osho was he was from India. Was he a Hindu? I don't know if you call him a Hindu priest, but he was a philosopher and spiritualist.
Yeah.
Very, very influential spiritualist of the 21st century. He said, the powers that be don't want us to be wise.
Mm-hmm.
He says they don't want you to be wise, because the wise man, they know you become dangerous,
Sure.
and they know when the poor become wise, there is a fire that burns in them that the powers that be know they cannot put out.
Mhm.
Because he says, because the wise man knows he would rather die than be enslaved.
Right.
So that's why that wisdom, they try to extract it away from you. They try to take it away,
Well,
from you. And like you said, with the police, they knew, they knew that the antagonism against the lies the police had been telling for years was
yes.
building, and that's why they had to put those cameras. And it's a lie, it's a farce, it's another
Right.
farce.
Of course. Of
Because like
course.
you said, lies, truth doesn't exist in that organization.
Mhm.
So to
Absolutely.
fool us, now they're gonna have to come up with a different game, because these, like you said, they didn't even know the cameras on the streets was there.
Right. Right. You know. Um.
It's gonna be. I will see. Let's see how deep they're gonna play the
Really,
game, because the
really,
universe always balances out itself. You can believe that.
yes. Oh. Oh. Yeah. We know. Yeah.
The universe always balances itself. Like, to go what to Phyllis was saying, these two cards. Thanks for bringing it to my attention,
Mhm.
because I was so wrapped up in naming them according to tradition. Is really very simple, Phyllis. Like, the maiden in Aje Funfun, Aje Funfun Funfun, the maiden, she is the maiden aspect of the triple goddess. So think about the youngest of that archetype of the triple goddess, right? And I see her more as in spirit, because she's that spiritual aspect of the triple goddess that comes to you to help you to investigate. She's intuition. Or color is white. You see her, the symbol of the owl, seeing through the dark, seeing through lies.
She's the new moon, Phyllis.
Yeah, thank you. She's the one that's going to wisdom. We were just, yeah, she was just talking
Right.
about being wise. She's the one that's going to help you to navigate in your mind, to help you structure how you're going to say things, how you're going to investigate things, how you see things, how you see through the lies in
Mhm.
the spiritual realm. Whereas the maiden, Aruba is a physical person that is still, um the title is still in existence till today in Yoruba land during the Oshun festival. So
Mhm.
she's the physical representation of Orisha Oshun, the yearly physical representation. In Tibetan, yeah, in Tibetan culture, they have this tradition where when a child is born, they then do like their oracle system, and they check to see if this person is coming as the messenger for the Buddha. And then they check the whole community, and I don't know what kind of oracle they use, but somehow they know when a child is born, and usually it's before age 7. That child is identified in the community, and then that child is actually taken out of their family, and she or he is taken into the temple. And in India as well, this is done in India as well, and this child is identified as the physical representation of the deity on earth. And then that child is, um treated as such. So that's what Aruba basically represents. Aruba means the calabash carrier,
Mhm.
and she is with the festival that takes place in August for Oshun in southwest Nigeria. Every August, she's the one. She's the instrumental. She's a very very instrumental person. The Aruba for that year has to be identified. I wouldn't even say she's a priestess per se,
Right.
because she's not, you don't know, nobody knows who the Aruba is
Yes.
until that year.
Yeah, because anyone who's initiated, well, we don't use the term priestess in Ifa. Uh, Everyone's considered a priest, but when you get that initiation, you're considered that. But Arugba is the
Hey,
personification, the physical personification of Oshun,
Mhm.
Uh,
It's like
it's
she's
highest.
identified. It's higher than that
Yeah, it's
because
higher than a
she's
priestess.
identified by the priestess are the ones who do the. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about with the Tibetan culture, where they basically pick this child and they from a family and they know and they go to the person and say, look,
Yeah.
the child in your family is a representation of the Buddha and she has to be in the temple because that's the liaison on earth. That's it. That's the word that I'm looking for. The liaison of earth on earth of that particular deity that governs that town, which is Orisha Oshun, is picked every year by the oracle. So the priestesses gather and they do a mass divination investigation, using this energy, looking into the spirit world to see who is the next Aruba, the calabash carrier. Where is she? Who is she? And it's a scientific, elimination. I think names are submitted of all the families in the community, and then by process of elimination, Aruba, the Aluruba is then selected, and she is not usually, she is a maiden. No more, usually between maybe 12 and 18. Yeah, the chosen one for that year. So it's a physical, actual person that is very instrumental in this time when they do the festival for Orisha Oshun, because she serves as her liaison, and she's not identified, or if she's or they don't do the due diligence of picking the right one, the whole festival is gonna just go, it's not going to work, and the whole year nothing will work out. So her presence is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
So that's right. But thanks for bringing that up, because what I'm going to do is in the next edition I'm definitely going to change, but I have to find a name, because the name, it fits. I don't even know, because I don't know if I'm going to name her the calabash carrier. I feel like that's too long. But her name, Aruba, means the calabash carrier. That calabash contains the prayers, wishes, and hope of the whole community. And that's what she carries to take to the location where it is going to be received by Orisha Oshun. So she's a very important person.
Hmm.
The chosen maiden. Okay, you know what? You know what, Phyllis? The chosen. Thanks.
Just yeah, the chosen.
Yeah, let me write that down. Thanks,
Yeah.
because I had to. That's why I missed that, because I was so focused on keeping it to the tradition. I'm gonna write that down now so I don't forget.
I'm writing it on my card. I mean, I know what it
Hmm.
means, but it's good.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go through some pronunciation of the card. Were there any other does anyone else have any questions about any of the other cards that we can go into? So we I guess right now, Aminat is we're going to go ahead. Your deck is not in order like mine.
No, it's
But
never an order.
yeah, we'll give you the number of the card and the pronunciation of the words. So, I always have this thing about pronunciation across the board, no matter what the language, um, because phonetically, um, you could say something that sounds similar but means something else. And so, learning the pronunciation is important, vitally important to me. It's also very respectful. One of the things that really, really gets under my skin is when I hear a fellow reader or person on YouTube saying, "Oh, I don't know what that word is. I'm gonna fluff it up. I don't care what Don't even bother. Don't even make the attempt to learn the meaning of the word." And I always feel like a deck creator used that word in that deck for a reason, because it carries certain energy and you should not bypass it. Okay.
Yeah, because even in the Christian Bible, it says in the beginning it was the Word, and then the Word
Right.
was with God.
So I know, Phyllis, is not easy, but here's the thing: you could always ask, right? That's one of the things human beings don't like to do. We don't like to ask questions. We feel like after a certain age that we shouldn't ask questions, right? Society says there's part of society says, "Oh, you should know. Why are you asking?" Da 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 da. But a child would continue to ask, "Why? Why? Why?" So
Yeah, it's true.
Leslin pulled Odidire,
Hmm.
card number 19.
I picked up another deck that should be in order.
Oh, I love, and I
Um,
pulled it. Mine was right on top.
yeah,
Uh huh.
ODI. It's literally for phonetic.
Right.
Odi dire, Odi dire. That the name means the bottom. This is one of the few Yoruba words that you can directly translate into English because it's not that old. So it just means the bottom becomes blessings. It's a very her the parrot. That's the name of the African gray parrot,
Mm-hmm.
and their name is very metaphoric because one of the stories about the parrot in West Africa was that the other birds in the animal in the bird kingdom used to make fun of the parrot for the red tail feathers. And it used to be something that they was like, what's this bird is weird. Why do
Mm-hmm.
you have red tail bullied basically for being different. So in the transformation that Odidire went through, one of the stories said when she went to the for the divination, and then when she did all the due diligence that she was supposed to, the human beings started to wanted her feathers, the same feathers that her cohorts would put her down for, the same attribute that her cohorts would say, you're weird.
Mm-hmm.
Other species started to covert they started to want that feather until today. In our tradition, the parrot is a very the parrot is the very, to say for the year, I meant to say for the year. She says she anyways, the parrot is a very respected bird. It's a taboo bird. You can't kill the parrot. The parrot is looked upon as a very, it's just a very sacred bird. And the red tail feather that he or she has is what is used in ritual,
Mm-hmm.
because it's meant to symbolize the joining of the right brain to the left brain. That's where when you see, even in India, even in other indigenous cultures, you see them wearing a red tail feather on their third eye.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the symbolism behind the name. I don't want to, what Leslie was asking something about the year.
No, so in most people tend to do a spread for the year.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so Odidire, as it pertains to a spread for the year, if you ask a very general question, is a good omen because it's a card of triumph. It's a
Mm-hmm.
card of finally gaining recognition for all your past works, and it's
Yeah.
a card of sabotaging the sabotager. So if anyone had tried to sabotage you in the years prior, you're actually going to see, it's going to be revealed to you, and you're also going to triumph, because that's what the story of the parrot in this illustration goes into. There were several attempts to sabotage her, to several attempts to take her crown, but in the end she won over her detractors.
Um, Black Coffee and Tarot just joining. What is the name of this deck? It's the Iami Oracle. We've been talking about this for the past few weeks. In the community tab, I put a link to Aminat's shop if you want to purchase that. So it's there. Let me see. Maybe I could put it in the feed.
Yeah, Phyllis, what was the question that you asked though? Because
Right. That. What? Yeah. What was the question that you asked?
Because by knowing the question, I'll be able to give you.
Hmm. I
What
know.
did you have a specific question in mind when, or you just did a general poll? Because usually with the card spread, you should have
A
an
question.
intention.
At least with these energies, right?
Yeah,
This is. I was going to say you don't want to read. You don't want to. You, you don't want to work with this deck using a Western mind. Put it to you that way, like, or I should say, a New Age mind, or you have you should be more intentional. It's just like, you know, when we get a reading, when we sit in front of Ifa to get a reading, we we don't ask what are the energies around me today, or what should I be aware of today. Your reading, if you want to get a specific answer, you have to be very clear and intentional in your questions that you ask. That
yeah,
is because this is not just doing a reading. This is medicine that's being given to you, and this
yeah.
is
And with that proposition also on the right side, what the ego wants is the masculine. So that always points you to the easiest want, what you think is the best thing to do. And then the left side, the divine feminine, is what the actual advice, the spiritual. Because remember what I was telling you, what I was saying at the beginning of the conversation, that the world is upside down,
mm-hmm,
and the people that know, in Ifa it says that there's a saying in Ifa that says the world when the world beats the wise person. It's another way of saying when a wise person is suffering, he knows why, so he doesn't show it. So you have that perfect, the person is suffering in the inside. They know the world, they know they're suffering, but because they know the reason why, because they have that wisdom, that insight, they know why, so that they don't show it. They don't have the torn cloth, they don't have tears, they don't have crazy hair, they still look polished because they know why, and they know that this is going to end. And then it says when the unwise person is suffering, that's when you see the wailing out on the streets, crying, and the emotional disturbances, because they don't know why. So those two positions, I think, speaks of that spiritual. The left side on the feminine speaks of what the spiritual advice is saying. But in the end, spirit is saying that this is the advice that I would give. But on the right side, what the ego wants is what you think is the solution to the issue. I didn't do a question for this spread, general. No, it's not necessarily what is wrong, because if you do a general spread, I could give you the service meaning of Obaluaye on the right side, you know, which is fine. But if you have a specific question, then you can go deeper and you can go above what is in the textbook meaning, right? So, Obaluaye, if you did a general, an energy spread with the four card, with the four elders spread, um, speaks of wanting to really work on the shadow, because that Obaluaye card has the two sides. He's the poison and he's also the cure. Like, this person is aware, okay, I'm aware I am doing the shadow work. This is what I actually do. I know all the words. I know all the position to take to make it to the world. I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I know I have a dark and a light side. I know I'm the disease and the cure. I know I'm doing the healing work. So I would read that as, on that side, a sense of awareness of being in the state of healing, because that's what he represents, that card for. Let me show everybody what I'm saying. So Oba Baluaye is the lord of the disease, but he's also the lord of the cure. He's the lord of pandemics, but he's also the lord of vaccines. So, like the first inoculation in Africa, a lot of people don't know that we had, but we actually had inoculation for those like chickenpox, smallpox, and all that stuff came from this particular deity, because he was the one that brought the idea that for you to get the cure to a disease, it's inside. The cure for the disease is inside the disease itself. So you know how penicillin was discovered in the 19th centuries? Like Africans actually used to inoculate themselves with small amounts of poisons to cure disease. So that's what he basically represents. So the right side of his face, the one that looks younger is the cure, and the one that looks older and more stern is the disease itself. So this particular deity carries the disease and the cure. He carries the poison and the antidote. So in that proposition, I wanted to illustrate that healing is a very messy thing. To actually heal and to face your shadow side is very, very messy. It's not an easy thing to go through. But then I ask in the book, what other option do you have? So the way that I would read it, if I did a 4-card spread with no specific, question, I would just say my ego is saying, the divine masculine is saying, I know that I need to merge the two. I know that I need to do healing work. Perhaps even I know that the position and the words to say to the world to show them that I'm doing the healing work. So what I would be interested in, what was on the other side, the left side, Phyllis, because you have to read those two. The
Yeah,
right
to get
side and the left side has to be read. Yeah, what cures you is what makes you heal. Yeah, it's exactly,
yeah.
Gerald. So that's how the first vaccines was actually they developed in West Africa, because they discovered that if you give people small inoculations of the actual disease, it will actually cure them.
And that is why people get sick when they get the flu shot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Obaluaye is a very powerful deity, It's really, it's very, very powerful, very, very powerful senior deity as well. And that color red,
Mm-hmm.
that's sandalwood.
Mm-hmm.
If you I don't know if you guys know about anything about ancient Egypt. When you see a lot of their paintings, even now, you see the reddish hue that they have on their paintings, and even when you look at movies about them. So sandalwood, red sandalwood, is generally used in Africa for hygiene purposes, because he governs hygiene as well. So when you rub sandalwood, that red all over you, insects don't come near you. If you have insect bites, it heals it. And sandalwood was also used as a beautification tool. So you see, like back in the day, the women put the red powder all over their face, and it'll give your skin a nice glow. Yeah.
Hello, Laura. Laura's in. Auntie Kay came in earlier. Didn't even say hello. Auntie Kay came in. You're right. Um, yes, Gerald, words are important. I am going to put the link for the deck in. Um, oh, also, Obalu Aye means king of the earth. Aye
Hmm.
is the earth, right? So everything on he's the king of the earth, the good and the not so good, right? Health is wealth. Um, and like you said, um, the poison is sometimes the antidote,
Hmm.
you know. Um, and that's why sometimes we have taboos, right? We have taboos when we get a reading, when we first get, what they call medio santo or part of our initiation. It might come down in the reading that you have certain taboos, certain foods that you can't eat anymore, have to stop eating, and all of that. Why? Because that food will serve as the antidote should you become ill.
Yeah, exactly.
you know I've heard stories. I know people where it is taboo for them to eat kidney beans, rice and peas in Jamaica. We have that. And then Ifa says you can't eat kidney beans anymore. You're like, what? I grew up eating kidney beans. Yeah, you can't eat that anymore. Why? Because if you should get sick, that's one of the medicines that would be offered to you. That would be the antidote. So Phyllis, we're waiting for you to give us card number. We were waiting for you to give us card number 3, because you
Card
say
number
you
four. Maybe
card
she
number
doesn't
4.
remember.
I thought she said card number 4 was Obolulaye.
No, card number four has to be the feminine because card number four is the last one. Remember on the left side.
Yeah, I know. Let me see.
Card number three is the one she gave us on the right side because it's one, two, three, and then four is the fourth one on the left side.
Oh,
Oh, you see, she said card number four is Abaluaye. Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
no.
what
Okay.
position? That's right. What position? Let me see.
Wait,
I had
okay, four. There's too many fours. Four elders cast prayers, position of what the ego wants. That's card
the
number
eagle one.
three. I
That's
pulled
number
four.
3.
Obaluaye.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It's I was right. Yeah. It's on the
Okay.
third.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
A lot of 4s there.
Yeah. Should
Okay.
we go through the pronunciations or
Yes.
because I have
Yes,
mine?
we should.
So the first one is Aje do the crone. Aje do. And card number two is the mother. Aje pupa. Aje pupa. Third, Aje fun fun. Aje fun fun. And then number four, Obalu aye. Obalu aye. Five, Oshun oloya. Oshun oloya. And then card number six is Eshu. Odara. Eshu. Odara. Or Odara. 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 Eshu. Odara. And then seven, when you see G and B at the same time in Yoruba, it's pronounced B. So it's Agberu. Agberu, the helper. Card number eight, Orunmila. Ọ̀rúnmìlà. Card number 9. Ìyáàsàn. Ìyáàsàn. Card number 10 is Orí. Orí. Number 11 is Eléríkò. Eléríkò. Number 12 is Àgàlù. Àgàlù. Number 13, Egúngún. Egúngún. Now, number 14 is Ajé. Ajé. $15, Ada and Ebe. Ada and Ebe. Justice and mercy. Number 16, Ẹ̀rìndínlógún. Ẹ̀rìndínlógún. It's basically pronounced for phonetically. $17 is Yemọja. Yemọja. Number 18, it starts with an I, but the I is pronounced Iwure, because I is usually pronounced as E. So it's Iwure. Iwure. So remember what I said about the I? So this will be pronounced Odidire. Odidire. So again with the I, Ìbejì. Ìbejì. $21, Ẹlẹ́yẹ. Ẹlẹ́yẹ. $22, Ojúmọ́ ire. Ojúmọ́ ire. $23, Yémiṣé. Yémiṣé. $24, again, it's pronounced pretty much phonetically. Olójú. Mẹ́rìndínlógún. Olójú. Mẹ́rìndínlógún. $25, Fìtílà. Fìtílà. $26, Òní. Òní. $27, Moje lewi. Moje lewi. 29. Shango and Oya. Shango and Oya. 29. Tire TB. Tire TB. 30. So you have the GBA at the end. So that's B. So it's Aruba. Aruba. 31. Orisun. Orisun. 32. Logun Ede. Logun Ede. 33. Oso Ronga. Oso Ronga. 34. Odua. Odua. 36. Imo Doye. Imo Doye. 36. Iyalode. Iyalode. 37. Igun. Remember I was saying the I is pronounced like E. Igun. 38. Iyake. Iyake. 39. Olokun. Olokun. 40. Oba Asabo. Oba Asabo. 41. Oyela. Oyela. 42. Aye Akamara. Aye Akamara. 43. Osayin. Osayin. And last but not least, 44. Oshu Mare. Oshu Mare. Okay. You're on mute. Okay.
I know. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Did you all get that? You probably come back and replay at least that part of it. So, Aminat, let's pull a card for a message for closing.
Okay.
Nice. Top of the new month, second month of the year. Tick tock. Tick tock. You're welcome, Phyllis. And that's all you can do. Practice, 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 practice. There's nothing wrong with practicing. Nothing wrong whatsoever. Nothing at all. Believe me, I'm not fluent in Yoruba. You know how I learned? Is the songs and the prayers. And then listening to people who that's their language, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
just a exposure, and it's just, just trying
yeah.
something. It's just a different language, so you're not gonna get it right away, but if
Mhm.
you try, it's fine.
Yeah. Get yourself invited to some parties and where there's food, or find a restaurant, right? Doesn't
Yeah,
every
Gerald, it's not as intimidating as people think.
Yeah. It's just, remember, it's phonetic, right?
Hmm. And it's phonetic and it's tonal as well.
Yes.
Like the tone is like I was saying, the GBA is but but.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
what do you have? I have Egungun.
Hmm. Let's see, what do I have here? God. What do I have two? Ah, no.
Bottom is what's stronger. Reversed. Hmm.
One,
Heartbreak. Reversed.
two, mm, three. Those are my three. Wow. Well, this is, yes, perfect combination. You're right. A lot of protective energy around us, around me, a lot of protective energy. And you pull Egungun first,
Yeah.
those are our ancestors, right? So
And
we
it's
always,
a very masculine energy. It's a very divine masculine energy that is speaks of the father's line. And you see
right,
that whip in his hand, because his message is that sometimes the lessons of getting you back in alignment, putting this universe back in alignment, it has to be hard. And this masquerade in Nigeria, no one really, their society is a very secret society, and no
hmm,
one can know who's underneath those cloths. And then the cloths for Egungun, you see the red and the multicolored, and the red stands out because he really represents the lineage, the bloodline of the male ancestral lineage. And he can be quite aggressive as well.
right,
He can be very, very aggressive, and sometimes during the festival, he will use that whip. But in using that whip, he's not using it arbitrarily just to use it. He's using it to whip things back in the way it needs to be. So this card speaks of secrecy to some extent, concealment, and with the one that you're holding, and she's a tough one too. So these are two very, very harsh energy.
right.
These are
And
two very, very harsh
so you see what
energies.
Phyllis, don't apologize. Don't, okay, first of all, there's no, we're not going to we're not going to say sorry in this crowd. Okay, we're all learning, we're all learning. Okay, so everything that you bring, everything you say, everything you post or ask about, you're meant to ask. No need to, in this part of our little world right here, there's no need for apology, right? The only thing I ask is that everyone maintain a certain level of respect. That's all I ask. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Now, yes, Aminat and I, we both pulled these two cards first. Go ahead, Aminat. I'm sorry, I had cut you off when you were explaining the two.
That's what I was saying. Yours, she's not an easy one as well. Obasabo.
Mm-hmm.
She's the divine feminine, but she's one of the, if not the toughest female orishas. It's not even, you can't even categorize her into the toughest female orishas, but because one of the legend about her says that she used to beat up the men as well.
So we have a masculine we have the masculine energy and we have the feminine energy, right? And we have the feminine energy um, being assertive, doing what will be deemed as masculine,
Necessary. Yeah.
right? Doing what's necessary, right? Um, and you see, she's she's traveling through water. You know what I mean? She's undercover, she's covert, and the masquerade ceremony is undercover and covert as well. Like no one questions. So both of these energies, no one questions either one of these. So
Mm-mm.
what's the combination message you would think, right? Um,
The weapons, look at the weapons, you look at the items in their hands, it's
right,
like the lessons they bring is going to be harsh. The correction is going to be harsh, but it's necessary. It's necessary to get things back in alignment.
yeah, I think.
And I feel as if Egungu is saying that there are many things that we're not going to know that are
Hmm.
concealed.
Hmm.
Many things that we're not going to know that are concealed. But that's okay because the spirit of the ancestors is still going to bring that whip to
Right,
to to put everything back in alignment. And the lessons are not going to be, the process is not going to be pleasant.
right,
But in the end, it is things has to be. And at the bottom of the deck, I had Osoronga because so we have support,
okay.
the
Well, and
foundation.
so my second card was the maiden, the chosen,
Yeah, support.
right?
Yeah, they're basically saying the
Exactly.
same thing.
See that?
Support initiation of a project, support spirit has you just jumping to take that leap. And she speaks of unexpected support from a younger person.
Hmm. A younger
And
person.
in the middle of the deck I had the heartbreak reverse, which makes sense. So it was a very people feel trauma. There is trauma. There's a lot of trauma that people feel in their hearts. And
But
she was reversed, so it is going to heal.
right. And so this, we talked about this being the new moon energy, right? Ajay Fum Fum, right? The new beginning. There's always a new beginning. There's always an opportunity to begin again. So you can see, so guys, you see how energetically our readings were in alignment, you're across the pond. I'm here in the States. How is that possible? Right? This is Eshu at work, right? This is our ancestors, Arumala. This is everybody, everything that we know and believe, bringing us, having us work together in tandem. So, Phyllis, protection, um, yes, but the protection is not. It's not us protecting. It's letting us know that we are protected, but we are
Hmm.
protected because what's going on behind the scenes has to go on behind the scenes. We need to stop questioning what's going on behind the scenes. Remember what I said originally? Take care of your yard. Take care of your yard, right? Because what needs to be done, right? Not every train wreck or car wreck, you're supposed to slow down and watch. You really are supposed to keep it moving because sometimes you could cause an issue as well. And I think that's the energy that this is talking about. Things happening beneath the surface. Number one, I mean, could be happening that you can't be aware of. We this is where ego comes in. We always want to know why, why,
Yeah.
why, why. You know, that is true, Phyllis. If it is concealed, it isn't for us to know. Not at this time. Not at this time. But then you have to think how many things are concealed from us that we've just accepted to be okay. Centuries ago, women have been given birth for since time immemorial. Did they know the gender of the baby at that time? Think about it. The other two, Ajay, would be the full moon and then the waning moon.
Yeah.
They're the triple aspect of the moon. That's what I see. The
Mhm.
triple aspect, maiden, mother, crone, as they say. Yeah, um, in that order. So um, for Orisha wise, I mean, I'm gonna make it real simplistic. The maiden, of course, is Oshun, right? The mother is Yemoja, and the crone is Oya, right? The waning energy of the releasing, not just the moon itself. That's why I don't do full moon releasing work. Because to me, the moon at that time when she's full and lush and all the possibilities and everything that we work with is there in that full time. I don't want to release that. I want to be blessed by that. You know, I do my releasing work after the full moon. And that's the energy of Oya to release and let go and move along and get rid of. So, yes. Okay. So that was, does that answer your question, Phyllis? And yes, Ange, weaving the threads that connect us.
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes if it's concealed, some of us know. Some of us already know what's concealed. We just don't speak on it. We don't need to because it's not our place. You can know a lot of things. Not everything requires a response or engagement or interaction. That's ego talking. Because think about all the things that all the things that you know that you've never spoken on. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just you just never felt that you need to speak on it. That's not your place to speak on it. So, you know. Well, guys, unless there are any other questions, we are going to call it a night. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. And we will be back next month. Is that right, Aminat? Next month? Can you believe it
Yeah.
already?
Probably
Let's
towards the first 2 weeks, I may be traveling
okay.
again to Nigeria, but
Oh,
after the 16th, I may be okay. But I'll let you know anyways. It hasn't been confirmed yet.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ange. Thanks for coming.
Thank you guys so much. You know what? We're gonna have to post. Maybe for the month of March because it's third month. Maybe we'll do a big post. I need to get back on YouTube too. I really do. I need to get back on posting because I've got a lot of things to talk about in the tarot sphere. I'm already
Mm.
posting. I posted yesterday on my sewing channel, but I have a lot of. I'm an observer. I watch, and I see, and I'm like, oh, the more things change, the more things stay the same. So, well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great evening. Stay
Oh,
safe.
I just want to say one thing for in the UK. Phyllis knows this, but we've had like issues with our mailing system,
Mm-hmm.
our postal system. So right now we cannot send international parcels because there was a breach, a internet, some kind, the virtual breach.
Yeah.
So a hack. They had a hack, you know.
Oh.
So it's been disrupted. So I haven't been able to send any parcels. It's been like a delay. So if anyone orders, anyways, I send emails out anyways to
Mm-hmm.
people. So that's what's going on here. It's just been a nightmare since last November. There's been like massive delays. So the people who've received their decks, you guys are actually quite lucky because this breach has been going on. This delay has been going on for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. I did
So
get things from the UK. I did get a deck, a couple of decks from the UK. Like I'm still getting some things, but
yeah, it's yeah.
yes. Um,
Yeah, Phyllis knows
oh,
because she was like, it was a nightmare trying to get hers. And
oh,
she's closer.
yeah. Yes, Gerald. I have a sewing channel. As a matter of fact, the sewing world is my happy place. Like it really. It really is. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes it could be like the tarot verse as well. Like I got this and I got that and blah 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 and all of that stuff. You know how it is, right? FOMO kicks in. But the sewing world is just, I don't know. It's my happy place. And I always said if I had to make a choice between sewing or cards,
Definitely.
I would be giving up I would give up my cards. I would. I know, right? I'd give up my cards. I'd be happy with, and maybe that's something I need to talk about on.
Oh, fabric and quilting is one of his happy places. That's
Oh
nice.
gosh, you need to come over. Look for hashtag Friday Sews. Come on. Oh, do you have a sewing channel, Gerald? If you don't have a sewing channel, make one so we can work. So we could do something outside of tarot. Okay, let's do that. Right? Anybody, no tarot is allowed on my channel. Period. Not at all. Number one, I got a bunch of holy rollers over there on the sewing channel. But aside from that, it's just, you know, yes, come on over, Gerald. Okay. Anyone else who comes over to my channel, I'm going to tell you, don't say anything. I am known as Stitch Treasures. I think there's like a 777 over there, but you'll see me over there. And I just posted for the first time in a year. Well, come on over, Gerald, and create your channel. You'll see me if you type that in. You'll see me like that. But it's a great way. We got this. We've got quilt. Seriously, we've got quilters. We've got farmers who do sewing. We've got everything. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All anything to do with fiber. And the fabric hall is that is the come on over just so you can watch the whole sewing thing. Yeah, you guys, you think I have tarot decks? I showed something. If you go and watch my latest video, yes, it's crazy. So it's just another. Can you tell how passionate I am about that? Unfortunately, I think one of the reasons why I have not posted on the tarot side of things is because I don't feel this excited about tarot. I, you know,
Hmm.
um, nice. Thank you so much, Gerald. Yeah. I don't feel, I'm sorry, I don't feel this excited about tarot. And I think it could be like, seriously, how many decks do we really need? Like, okay. Number one. Number two, decks have become exorbitantly pricey. Like, it's become everyone's creating a deck. There's just so much to choose from. I love it all and I hate it all, because you want every deck that's out there, and I want to support everybody who's creating a deck. And I want to do everything, but it's just like, I don't know. I just somehow or the other, maybe my joy will come back, right? I think maybe it's something to do with the type of readings that I see. I mean, tarot used to be fun. And it should be fun. One of the things I'm doing on Instagram, I'm as Oyas Girl on Instagram. Um, One of my coworkers and I would do Tarot Tuesday. So I think you only have like a minute or whatever to do something. I try to make the reading really fun, like just fun. Whatever comes to my mind when I see that card, that's what I say. Da 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 da. This that and the other. So we call it Tarot Tuesdays. So I'm still engaged that way. But yes, Gerald, please join us. And this will be fantastic because, wow, oh my gosh, oof, you'll be in heaven. Like, huh, you'll be in heaven. Come on over. Come on over. Yeah. Yeah. See, and that's the same thing with me, like developing. deepening. I'm sinking into where I was when I started reading tarot 30 years ago. Like I'm clean, I've cleansed my palette. I'm going back to the basics of things. You know, I find myself using the same decks across the board, even though I have a massive collection. Just digging in deeper and with those particular cards. I love the RWS. I will always go back to a version of the RWS. You know, um, yes, I don't collect shoes. I wear my shoes. Yes. Yes, I collect shoes. So one of the things I used to do, I'm going to bring this back. Um, I used to match my shoes to decks and post that on Instagram. That was a thing. No one has done anything like that. So if you're watching Candy, like Candy is working with dolls now, that's where that idea came from. I think someone was doing nail polish. So it's like working with your tarot deck on a different level, like connecting it to something else that you love. So yeah, you know, one project I think I'm going to do possibly this year is sew my way through the Modern Witch tarot deck. I mean, I like the deck. The cardstock is, whew, she rough, but the outfits, the ideas of the outfits, I want to be able to recreate some of that. So, yeah,
Yeah, Joe was saying some of the cards will make amazing fabric pieces. Yeah,
absolutely,
that would be interesting.
absolutely. I mean, yeah. Um, Let me see. That's good. Yeah, yeah, crafts. Like, I put me in a good fabric craft store because I can go to a bookstore and like after a while you look at all the decks and all the books, but you go to a fabric store, I'm in heaven. It all depends on the fabric store, but I'm in heaven, you know. So yes, the Iami is one of those oracle decks that I said, is one of those that stays by my side. So I noticed that my own collection is getting tighter in that regard. And yes, Gerald, you're right. These will be fantastic art pieces. Like, oh my gosh, fantastic wall hanging, like oof. So, oh, what do you mean? Yes, you will. Yes, you would. Yes, Phyllis, you would lose me in a fabric store. Absolutely, I'm gone. I'm gone. Yeah. Yeah, So, and that should be, maybe because the next time we meet, we should be like in the spring equinox or getting there. Maybe think about your other passions that you can connect to, that you can feel just as deeply about, right? Because we also need that energy of creation, right? And creation is so much more. As human beings, we don't explore it enough. I know we love to work with our cars and everything, but that could be so esoteric and existential to the point where you just like, I just want to pull cards and do this spread and blah blah blah. But how are you manifesting that into the world? Like, how are you living in the world? What are you creating? You know, I've been looking at people who have been cooking. I've been watching people who are enjoying foods, trying different foods and such. You know what I mean? You know? Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
See?
Yeah, I'm just glad you received it because the postal system
Good.
is a nightmare here.
Yeah. See? So that's going to be something else. That's wonderful. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, the same thing with me, Daryl. Deepening my connection to deity. I mean, for me, creating it is my connection to my ancestors. Yes, gardening. Um, I've watched people create one of those travelers journals. I think she's called the plant-based bride or something like that. Her journal setup and her book reviews, it's beautiful. Like, oh my gosh, I think she's called a plant-based bride. something like that if I find it. And she reviews books monthly, and she sets up her journal, and it's a beautiful thing to see come to fruition, you know. So yeah. So that's your assignment. The next time we meet, I want to see who is doing what on a tangible place, like who is tapping
Yeah.
into that mother energy and making it real, because that's what's needed, that nurturing. Remember I said take care of your backyard. That nurturing, this is beyond self-care, people. This is not, tuning out. This is something else. What are you doing to nurture yourself and the world around you? Okay. And I am done unless it's something else. Let me see. Yes, and that's it. So, guys, it is 8:16, 8, 9, 15, 14. Okay, 5. Oshun's number. So, I bid you all a good evening. Take care. Odabo.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks. See you guys next time.